State obviously first place in the Mountain West and seems like a really talented team. I guess why have they been so good this season under Leon?
Well, they've got everybody back. Well, the most key figures are back, and they had a load of transfers sitting out from Arizona mostly, but very talented group. And Armas is a good big. That's been a good, I think, inclusion to what they're doing. But very big, very athletic, long, athletic team. Guys at similar sizes that allows them to be very versatile with their defense. So they a good blend of experience and then transfers that were sitting out that know the system. That because they got to practice all year last year. They're about 8 deep. I think their first 8 are really, really good. You're getting about 26 points off those 3 guys off the bench. So it's a bench that can score, not just the starters.
Coach, do you feel like this is a good time for your group to get the Broncos?
Oh, I don't know about what's a good time, bad time. It's our next series on the schedule, and we know they're in first place. We know they're very, very talented. You know, you're looking at a team that's only lost at Houston and at Colorado State. So, I mean, this is a team that has done very consistent things all the way up until February. And now they find themselves in first place going into the last month. So, you know, it's a demanding game for us. We know we're going to have to play extremely well. You know, this is not a game that we can be average in on either side of the ball. We've got to be at our best. Very similar to when we played at San Diego State. We're going to have to be really good offensively, and we're going to have to really be good defensively to give us a chance to win at the end. But it's good that we're coming off 2 wins versus like Wyoming, where we came off 2 losses. I'd much rather be playing them after having some success versus coming off losses.
It seems like Boise State, I mean, obviously have a very good offense, but they do a great job of getting to the basket and converting. I think they're shooting like 69% close to the basket. Why have they been so difficult to keep out of the paint from the perimeter, and why are they so good at finishing at the rim?
Well, one, because they got good length and they've got good talent. But the other thing is they'll play 5 guards. So they'll play Kejab at the 5 and Alston at the 4, and then put 3 other guards out there with them. Sometimes Dutrieve, sometimes Rice, sometimes Dennis will be out there with them. Shaver can be out there with them. So you're basically defending 5 guards. And when you're trying to defend 5 guards with any kind of combination of bigs, which most teams have, I think that's what makes Boise dangerous and makes them a little bit different than other teams. A lot of teams like ourselves, we're putting 4 guards out there now that we couldn't do early in the season because we didn't have enough guards. And now that Daniel's back, we can play a 4-guard lineup and then go with 2 bigs. Boise is different, and they'll put 5 guards out there. So that's a hard team to guard as far as the dribble drive goes, because they'll end up going 4 and 5 out motion and really spreading the floor and looking to drive you.
Coach, you mentioned their bench briefly at the top of your remarks, but it seems like you guys are getting some great bench contributions as well. You know, obviously we all saw Zane the other night, but even beyond Zane, it seems like your bench has become a solid part of the piece. Is that correct?
Well, as we've gotten a little bit more healthy, I think that's really helped us. You know, KJ had his career high in game 1 against UNLV. Zane had career high game 2 against UNLV. You had Kane make shots for us, especially in game 1 of the UNLV series. So it allows us to, you know, we're going about 9 deep, and we're not, you know, we know we can play Dre and we can play Alam. Alam came in and hit a big shot in game 2 when we were struggling. So, you know, we can go as deep as 11 if we want. I just think with kind of getting some of these guys the minutes we need to get them, it's better having a 9-man rotation right now. But those 4 guys coming off the bench of Zane, Robbie, KJ, and Kane, you know, Robbie's not really asked to do a lot of scoring, but he's a good execute guy. He's a good defender. He's a rebounder. But Zane, KJ, and Kane are different guys are definitely guys that can score for us. So we've got a little bit more depth and a little bit more scoring coming off the bench right now.
You talked about Zane after the second win over UNLV and just how much potential he has if it all clicks. You've kind of played him both as a starter and off the bench. Do you prefer one of those roles, or do you like to have somebody off the bench like Zane, who you know you can turn to and give you an offensive punch if you're struggling there?
Well, he gives us a punch off the bench. It's not that I prefer it one way or the other, Chris. I don't put as much on the starting like individuals like players do. It's really about rotations and how things best work. But in regard to Zane, it's a lot like all the other guys. Do what you're supposed to do. Guard, pass and catch effectively. You know, one of the things, Zane's a very good scorer because he can shoot the ball and he's a very good rebounder. Zane's development has to be defensively, and it has to be taking care of the ball. He's got way too many turnovers versus assists. And those are things that he's really working hard on because he should be a good passer. So it's executing our offense. It's doing what we need to do from an execution standpoint with him. And then really defending at the level we need for him to defend. And he's, as I said on the last, I don't know when it was, he's extremely capable of doing it. He's just got to convince himself to do it because he's much more athletic than what he portrays a lot of times. And I'm trying to create Zane not just to be a standstill 3-point shooter. I want him to be a complete player. And those are the things he's got to work on to be a complete player.
How would you describe Zane's confidence in himself as a shooter?
Let's see, we had that super moon the other day, or had some kind of 2 planets in view or something. It's somewhere around those planets when it comes to Zane's confidence in shooting the basketball. He does not lack any confidence in shooting the basketball.
I mean, as a former great shooter yourself, or maybe still currently a great shooter, I don't know. How important is that to have in yourself? And is that rarer than you would think?
No, I think it's very important to have that. And he does have that in shooting, and his percentage is going up. I've told him, just like I tell other players, we've got a lot of guys that can make shots. It's figuring out what good shot, bad shot is. I get analytics say, if you shoot 37, 38% from 3, that's good. That's a part of analytics I don't buy into. If you're truly a really good shooter, you shouldn't be in the 20s and 30s on the 3-point range. I mean, I started the 3-point era back in '87 as a shooter, and I'm still the old school that if you take jump shots and you're a really good shooter, then you're making dang near 50% of those. I mean, I don't care where they're from. If you're a good shooter and you can't shoot the 3, then don't shoot 3s. But I think that's what a lot of young players today growing up in this era, they've kind of bought into, I shoot 35% from 3, and that's great. And I guess I'm old school enough. I don't buy into that.
How
Coach,
important is it?
go ahead, Shannon.
Just, Coach, how important is it for your team to build off this momentum from the UNLV series, but to have a short memory because it is such a quick turnaround this week?
Well, it is, and it's a tough stretch for us, Shannon. 4 games in really a little less than 8 days. So our prep for Boise, they've had a week to get ready for us. Sometimes that's just the way the schedule, hits. It hit for us last week. We had a week to get ready for UNLV. So, and they were playing their 3rd and 4th game in 8 days. So it just hits. The schedule's quirky that way sometimes, and our guys they've got to handle that, because not only do we have 4 games in 8 days, but it was 2 with the in-state rival, and now it's 2 with the top team in the league right now. So not an easy situation for them at all, but at least we're coming off 2 wins, and we got to do a good job of just trying to respond to a team that's really hard to guard and a team that is defending very well. I think this is currently the only team in the league that from an analytics standpoint is meeting the offense and the defense. And that's not easy to do. That's not easy to prepare for. It's not easy to play against, because there's just not a lot of weaknesses in this Boise team. So we know we're going to have to play well. So hopefully we've got the energy, we've got the enthusiasm of being at home, coming off 2 good wins, but now we've got to execute offensively, get good shots, not turn the ball over. We were great in the UNLV series. We averaged 8 turnovers in the UNLV series. that would help playing a Boise team. Getting good shots would help playing a Boise team. And then we've got to really concentrate on how we guard them, because they have unique lineups out there that make for some very difficult matchups.
Going back to the good shooting percentages, obviously can't expect 14 threes every game, but to be able to come back down to earth in game 2 and still find a way to get a double-digit win, that's got to be encouraging to win in a variety of ways.
Well, real encouraging. We told our team that yesterday when we met in cleaning up UNLV. I think we shot, if I'm not, I don't have that in front of me, so I apologize, but we might have shot 26% in game 2 from behind the line, somewhere in there. I think we're in the 20s. And so we didn't meet our goal there, but the other 3 goals of turnovers, free throw percentage, and our offensive efficiency, we had an offensive efficiency, I think, of 111, 112, 113. So we met our offensive efficiency without making threes. And that's growth, because we have had numerous games where we haven't met our offensive efficiency goal of 110. We haven't met that because we allowed poor 3-point shooting to affect how we play. And that goes back to like how I address Zane, how I address my guards, how I address anybody that's a 3-point shooter. Your concentration and your ability to play this game confidently can't be totally 100% relied on, did I make my shots? And I think that's a young person's growth that has to take place. And at least in this last series, these young guys showed growth in that their confidence wasn't tied to just making shots. We were able to guard enough in the UNLV game, but we were able to execute on offense without turning the ball over to where we made enough shots. We got more shots on goal than they did in a very low possession game because they didn't want to play fast. So that was growth for us. And hopefully our guys can see that if you're good defensively and you guard and you get good shots and value the ball, you can still win games if you don't make 3-point shots. We won the free throw battle by almost 10, and that was the difference in the game.
You guys are shooting about 5 more free throws per game this year than last year. And last year's team was pretty talented, especially at the guards. Why have you guys done a better job at getting those freebies?
Well, one, Chris, we're nowhere near a finished product yet, but we get the ball to inside more. The ball hits Warren and KJ, and they'll tell you they need it more, and I agree with it. We're still missing them a lot on the perimeter, but we're getting the ball going inside. We hardly made a post feed last year. It was more of a guard-oriented team, and it was a jump shooting team. Jalen was a pull-up guy or a 3. He would get to the rim some, and he got to the free throw line a lot. Lindsey got to the free throw. Jazz and Niz were jump shooters. So it was kind of a jump shooting team, and it was a very, very good jump shooting team. This team has the ability to drive the ball, and I think not the shooting team we were a year ago. We've relied on going to the rim more as a drive team and as a post-up team. So, and if you remember early in the season, we weren't getting to the free throw line. So it's something where our team has really grown. And I think we're shooting almost 76%, 75, 76% at the line now as a team, which is outstanding. So it's a big weapon of ours. And we've, in the last, I think, month and a half, the free throw line has become much, much better for us. And it's probably why our offensive efficiency's gone up. We're utilizing that more than what we were early in the season.
Obviously, Derek Alston, one of the best players in this league, maybe a potential future pro. He's really grown a lot during his career at Boise State. What makes him such a good player and potentially a next level kind of guy?
Yeah, he passes the eye test as a guard because he's very long. He's got great length to him. He can shoot the basketball with range. He drives it well. He's a good passer. Can play him inside out if you want. They don't post him a lot, but he's very good in transition. So he's really somebody that is positionless in that he can play, anywhere from 1 through 4 for them. And so you get a lot of different mix matches with him that makes it very difficult. So just a very talented player, good length, good quickness, good speed to him, and a good ability to score the basketball, and obviously having a very good career.
After this series, you still have Colorado State, you still have Utah State. These are some of the best teams in the conference. How important do you think it is to win some of these games heading into the conference tournament in terms of a confidence standpoint? Because you're probably going to have to go through them in that tournament if you guys are going to win the conference, get to the NCAA.
Yeah, there's no question. just building for our March, is trying to take advantage of these last 8 games. So we got a very good start off with UNLV in the second half of being able to get 2 more wins there and played pretty good basketball, especially for, I'd say, 3 out of the 4 halves anyway. And now you're going to play, you got San Jose in there, which we lost at San Jose last year. So you've got San Jose as a road game, Utah State as a road series to end it. And you got 2 really difficult, on top of that, you got 2 difficult home series with Boise and Colorado State. So 3 of our last 4 series are against the top of the division, top of our league. So to play well and try to get some wins, that would be crucial for us going into the tournament.
Steve, any rooting interest in the Super Bowl?
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
You have a real question, Duke. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mike. Coach, you mentioned Tuesday that the last 4 defensive halves ended up being, I believe it was 30, 30, 30, and I think 32. And that just that an amazing level of consistency there. I'm just wondering the level of, do you preach that to the team that it's got to be, that's the result that you look for, that led to a sweep of UNLV, that it's just kind of amazing defensive consistency?
Well, we hit our offensive efficiency in both games. And so that obviously helped. You want both. It's like we're talking about Boise. They're leading the league for a reason. They're hitting 110 on their efficiency mark offensively, and they're at 95 defensively. So those are the 2 marks you're trying to hit, and they're at both of those. So you want both, obviously. But with a young team and our DNA this year, we got to hang our hat defensively. And coming off a week at Wyoming where not so much in game 1 as is in game 2, we were brutal defensively in game 2. We scored 88 points and lost. So to do the numbers in our second game at Wyoming, I thought our guys really responded with a week of practice. And then we were really consistent in the UNLV game of defending the way we were capable of defending. And that gave us a chance to, we won one game by 28, 29 points, another game by 10, 11 points. So we won 2 double-figure games because we didn't match. I think we missed our defense in game 2, but of our 12 goals in game 1, we got 10 of the 12 goals, and in game 2, we got 9 of the 12 goals. So we played really good basketball, but it starts at the defensive end. If you can't guard, and if this team can't guard, I think it's going to affect what we do at the other end drastically. And so it was good to see the consistency. It's not always about points because possessions change game to game. Like I think the UNLV game 2 might have been the slowest game we've been in all year. So it's not so much of the 30. I don't look at that as much as, but I did going into this game just because I told the guys the last 20-minute game we played going into UNLV series, we give up 59. And I think they really responded very well of consistently over 2 games guarding UNLV the way we needed to guard.
Coach, my name is Bob Beeler. I'm the radio announcer up at Boise State. Thank you for including me here. Had a question. You've been involved in the Mountain West a lot of years, and when you were at New Mexico, there was a run where there was 4 or 5 really good teams, and this year is similar, where there's a lot of really good teams in the league, and was just wondering how you think this year's group is with some of the past years you've been in the league.
Yeah, it's a good question, Bob. It's probably a hard answer because when I got in this league, we had TCU, we had Utah, we had BYU. I'm at Nevada. Nevada wasn't even in the Mountain West at that time. And when I was at New Mexico, Nevada was my last year at New Mexico was their first year. So the league has changed a lot just in membership from what it used to look like. But you had teams then. I just remember, BYU being at a high level at New Mexico, San Diego State, high level. When Lon was at UNLV, he had teams there that were playing at a high level. So you're kind of seeing that, hopefully developing, and I hope Nevada, I hope we're going to be at that point where we're developing. And the future looks really good with what I think we're building towards and who we got coming in. And, so I hope we're going to be fighting there at some point, but I do think you've got Boise and San Diego State, Utah State, Colorado State. Those 4 teams have been pretty consistent so far. San Diego State's getting hit with some some tough luck right now with games not getting played. And I think that's affecting them, because just looking on the outside at what their schedule looked like, they could have ran off 8, 9, 10 games in a row, in my opinion, to end the season. So they're getting hit a little bit with some misfortune that is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I do see there is a line. I think those 4 teams this year have drawn a line in the top, and then there's maybe a handful, 2, 3, 4 teams in that next level, and then you got the bottom. So I think you have that every year in the league. Not so much maybe 4 at the top, but there's always 2 lines driven, top, bottom, and a middle. It's just good that our league now, the top has a little bit more than just a couple teams in it.
And one other question from me, watching the game on TV against UNLV, it looked like you guys, and from what they made it sound like, first time had band and cheerleaders in there. How much did that help the atmosphere? Because at Boise State, we've had nothing up here all season.
Well, Zane would tell you that it had incredible impact, because in his post-game interview, he said we had 11-5 in the building. So I can't tell all the Bronco, people that are coming. There won't be 11-5 in the building. There'll be 50 in the building. And yeah, we are back in school. So we've always had, our cheerleaders have been there all year and done a great job. And now it's great having our band in the building, just to add to the enthusiasm, because I thought we did have great enthusiasm. I've already reached out to Kim, who runs our cheer group, saying how well the band and cheer did, because our players thought there were 11-5 in the building. So, I think that's a positive. But if Zane, you got to keep that in perspective if you know Zane.
Thanks. It did sound better on TV than a game with none. So,
right. I mean, we're used to playing, kind of in empty buildings. It's been very tough all year. I think on players, coaches probably get adjusted to it more than the players. I think it's if I was a player today, that has been a really odd feeling. I mean, you see it at the top level. I mean, now all of a sudden now the NBA is starting to get fans in there, and now you're seeing all this stuff happening with the interaction with fans. It's when you've gone in a bubble and you've gone without it for so long, and now all of a sudden they get put back in it. I think there's a lot of energy, but there's also been a lot of, I've been out of it for so long. I was talking to President Sandoval the other day, and he's done a great job of just meeting with our students as much as possible on campus, and to almost a person when asked, hey, what do you miss the most? And the students are going to sporting events. That's all part of the collegiate experience. And it's not just our players and other sports that aren't getting it. Sometimes you forget the normal student population. That's a big part of their collegiate experience, and they're not getting to have that. And that's, I think that's a sad point that we're at, and just something we're trying to get through.
Mike, did you have one last one for Coach?
I just wanted to see if he'd humor us with a Super Bowl pick. I know we have a couple other chances to ask you, but thought I'd do it now.
Well, my Steelers didn't get there, and I was very upset with their performance against the Browns. It's one thing to lose in the playoffs, but to lose at home to the Browns is something you almost stop watching football. But I would guess because Coach Eck and Zane are such Kansas City Chiefs fans, I'm probably pulling for Tom Brady and the Bucks. I think that'd be a great story if Tom could get another one.
Have you told Zane that you'll be rooting against?
Oh, I tell Zane that every day. I also tell Coach Eck that the 2 Chiefs fans are him and Zane, just to pour more salt in Coach Eck's wounds. But those 2 obviously are pulling hard for the Chiefs. But just because of that, I think to create some enthusiasm on the staff, I'll go for the Bucks.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it, everybody. Have a great day.